So first question I have to ask, because Singapore is the chairman for ASEAN this year. What is the vision of Singapore?
Well, Singapore's honored to chair ASEAN this year. You know, we have come a long way, our region, since ASEAN was founded in 1967. At that time, Southeast Asia was a place full of turmoil, turbulence, conflicts. But today, I think our region enjoys peace and stability. And all the ASEAN member states have very good, warm and friendly relations with one another. Over the years, ASEAN has developed into a dynamic, vibrant, and prosperous region. And with a combined population of over 600 million people, we have a growing middle class and a young demographic. So that makes ASEAN an attractive area for other countries for trade and investment. It also means that there are many opportunities within our own region that our people can benefit from. But we also have challenges,
Yes.
Such as a changing global balance of power. Another challenge is the digital revolution that is transforming the way we live, the way we work, the way we play even. And then there's a fraying global consensus on free trade. So these are just a few of the challenges we have. And with these challenges in mind, as the chair of ASEAN, Singapore has, with our fellow member ASEAN states, we need to reaffirm ASEAN's commitment to strengthen community building efforts, including regional economic integration. We need to help one another to harness new digital and innovative technologies to benefit our people. And we also need to ensure ASEAN centrality in the regional architecture, the evolving regional architecture. Another thing that I think we need to focus on is to deepen our ties with our external partners and work together to enhance our resilience against transboundary threats such as terrorism, cybercrime, transnational crime.
So as a host of ASEAN Summit this year, what Singapore would do or is doing differently?
Well, I think all ASEAN chairs before us, and Singapore too, we will try to do our best to build on the good work that has taken place over the few decades that ASEAN has been in existence, and see what we can do to take ASEAN further forward. So in that regard, there's nothing very different that Singapore would do compared to the previous chairs. But for the theme of our chairmanship, Singapore has picked a rather unique theme to help frame our agenda for ASEAN in 2018. And the two main themes for our chairmanship are resilience and innovation. Resilience because ASEAN must remain united and resilient to deal with the challenges facing our region, and innovation because that is key to sustainable and dynamic economic development and growth, social development as well in this digital age. And then in line with these two themes, one of the things we hope to achieve this year is to establish an ASEAN Smart Cities network. The idea is to bring cities, companies, and governments together to develop, fund, and implement commercially viable urban solutions to improve the livelihoods of the people in ASEAN. Together with the other ASEAN member states and 6 of our dialogue partners, we are also working hard to speed up negotiations to conclude the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP.
I was going to ask you about the main agenda of ASEAN this year, but I think you already answered that it's innovative, and it's such a character for Singapore.
Yes, I think, for Singapore, innovation has always been a priority. Having an innovation-driven economy is very important for Singapore. we need innovation because we have to take advantage of the trends in the global economy and the advances in digital technology. And then we also have to be creative and innovative in order to overcome our constraints as a small country. Singapore's a tiny country as countries go, with very limited natural resources.
And the innovative index showed that Singapore is the third most innovative country in the world. You're only second to South Korea and Sweden, and you are ahead of Germany, Japan, Switzerland. So what do you think makes Singapore such an advanced country of the world?
Well, our journey to an innovation-driven economy actually started in the early 2000s. Back then, the government decided to expand the research capabilities of our universities and research institutes. And the government also encouraged technopreneurship.
Technopreneurship.
Technology and entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Yeah, to foster a vibrant startup ecosystem. And so far, I think our efforts have been pretty good. They've been encouraging results. Some of our local startups in Singapore have, in fact, made it big. Names like Razer, Lazada, Grab. These are Singapore startups, and now they are valued at over $1 billion each. So, they've come quite far.
So would you say that education is a big part?
Yes, education has always been a priority for us. We, as a country with no natural resources, the only natural resource we have is human resource, and we need good human capital in order to develop. And good human capital comes from a good education system. So this, especially in an innovation-driven economy, this is quite critical. We believe that our education system should equip our people with the necessary skills, knowledge, and values to do well in the real world. So our emphasis on STEM education, science, technology, mathematics, we have a particular focus on applied learning. That's based on this philosophy of the importance of education.
So another thing that Singapore is quite famous for is your water management. You received so many awards. Can you tell us how it started?
Okay. Well, water is life.
Yes.
And Singapore has always been conscious of the critical importance of managing our water resources because our survival depends on it. We used to rely almost entirely on imported water from Malaysia. We did not have sufficient diversification of our water sources, and that made us vulnerable. So this sense of vulnerability motivated Singapore's leaders to find long-term solutions for our water situation. Over the years, even as we continue to purchase water from Malaysia, we have managed to build a robust, diversified and sustainable water supply so that we are not overly dependent on any one single source. I would say that our water management policy can be distilled into 3 key strategies.
Okay.
First, we collect every drop of water that we can. With good water infrastructure, we can collect as much rainfall as we can, as possible.
Would you say it's around 70-something%? I think I read it somewhere.
I can't remember the exact figures.
But it's more than general countries be able to do.
I would say yes, it's more than most countries are able to, because it's a very focused effort. I think you have to be really worried about your vulnerability to put in that effort, and that's what we did in Singapore. And then the second key strategy we have is that we reuse water recycling. Recycling water is the most sustainable and cost-effective way to increase our water supply. We recycle wastewater into ultra clean, very high grade water that is safe to drink. And in Singapore, we call it new water.
New water. That sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds good. Oh, it's actually old water.
But it made you feel better when you call it like that.
Yes, you don't call it old water. It's old water made new.
Right.
Yeah. And then the third key strategy is desalination. Yeah, which makes a lot of sense, and it's very natural for us because we are an island and surrounded by seawater. Managing water demand, which is sort of the other part of the equation.
Right.
One is getting supply, and then the other part is managing the water demand.
Right.
That's just as important to make sure that we have enough water. So water conservation is also a big part of our water management policy. We encourage our people and our industries to adopt good water saving habits and to use water efficient products.
So I believe all this is the water master plan of Singapore.
Yes, we have a water master plan. This is a strategic blueprint for water management that will take us to the year 2060. As part of this plan, the objective is to have new water and desalination plants meet up to 85% of our water demand by that year, 2060. And so far, there's been quite good progress.
What is the percentage now, do you know?
Right now, I can't recall, but right now we have what we call 4 taps,
Okay.
4 sources: desalination, recycled water, our reservoirs, and the water from Malaysia.
I believe
I can't
Singaporean
remember
has to be really disciplined. How do you get people to comply with all this regulation or what you ask them to do?
Well, one of the ways is pricing.
Okay.
So water, the price of water that you use at home, there are different tiers. When you use a certain, up to a certain capacity, it is one rate. When you exceed that, I can't remember what it is, but when you exceed that amount of water, you pay a higher rate.
So much more per unit.
Per unit, and then a third tier. So when you see your water bill, I think there's some incentive when you see yourself in the second and third tier. And then there are other things. They use things like thimbles in the tap so that the water doesn't gush out. Different approaches. Part of it is, of course, incentivizing people, and part of it is, in a way, sort of punishment. You pay more if you use too much. Yeah.
And I believe that when people have to set up their home or their business, if they want to set up their water system, they have to be someone that got license from the government?
Yes, I think the plumbers are licensed, and then what's it called now? The
The water department?
utilities board, public utilities board. Yeah, I mean it's because we are a small country. It's relatively easier to, make sure that there are systems and everybody follows the system.
I hope at least Bangkok would try to follow soon. That would be a good idea.
It's not easy.
Yes.
And I think maybe for many countries, it's a case of you have to be really in a kind of a dire situation to force you to make that extra effort. And that's what happened to us. I mean, we have experienced things like water rationing and all that. So people are aware that if they're not careful, we could be in trouble and it could be more difficult. So it's better to, but it's not easy. I mean, it's not as though everybody in Singapore is very civic conscious and very careful about their use of water. It takes education.
Another issue that I would like to ask you is about aging society, because Singapore is one of the first countries in Asia to say, beside Japan and South Korea, that facing aging society. So how do you handle it?
Well, that's one of our biggest challenges, the aging society. Today, 1 in 8 Singaporeans is 65 and above. By 2030, this will rise to 1 in 4. So that's pretty serious, I think, because by then the baby boomer generation will move into their senior years. This is a dramatic shift in the composition of our population, and it's just 15 years from now. So we really have to think very hard, work very hard at it. Healthcare is a big issue, will be a big issue, because as people get older, healthcare costs spending will have to go up. And then when it comes to healthcare, the question is who's going to pay for it?
Right.
Is it the patient? Is it insurance? Is it the government? Or is it a combination of all three? We think that if you rely too much on patients paying for themselves, the poor, the economically less able will suffer. But if we rely too much on insurance, then there is always the problem of overprescribing, right? And then if we rely too much on the government, taxes will have to go up.
Right.
Everybody will pay more taxes. And money has to come
And
from
people
somewhere.
won't be happy.
And people won't be happy. People always say the government should pay for this and that. They forget that they are the ones who
they actually
provide
pay
that
for
money.
it.
Yeah. So it's important to have the right balance. And it's very important to ensure that the system is an equitable and sustainable one. And then, coming back to the aging society, so healthcare is a big issue. But there are other areas that will present challenges for us as an aging society. So how are we dealing with it? One of the things that is a priority now is to promote lifelong employability, which is supported by lifelong learning, because you have to upgrade yourself, so to speak, in order to have, be able to work. In the old days, people strive for lifelong employment. Maybe in the old days, meaning my generation. You go in one career and you're employer for life.
Right.
Say one employer. But it's no longer practical because today's world, there's rapid technological advancement, and old jobs are constantly being destroyed. New ones are being created. So you have to be able to move from a job that's sort of redundant to new areas of employment. And so one of our priorities is to help our people, including our seniors, to continually learn new skills, adapt to new environments, so as they switch from one career to another, change from one employer to another, in this modern digital economy. That's quite important. And then we also want to keep our seniors in the workforce as long as possible, as long as they are able and willing to work. And it's both a matter of economic productivity for the society, for the country, as well as for their what do you call it?
Enjoyment or satisfaction,
sense of usefulness, accomplishment. So both from a country and an individual perspective, that's very important. The government has raised the re-employment age from 65 to 67.
Okay.
So that those older people who are willing to work and want to work can do so. Then we're also taking steps to make our urban infrastructure, including, say, public transportation, more senior friendly. So all public buses, for instance, will be wheelchair accessible in by 2020. Today there are some, but not all of them. More lifts will be installed at pedestrian crossings, overhead bridges. Senior-friendly features such as better lighting and footpaths so will be installed in the public parks, for instance.
That would be good for other age group also, not just the seniors.
Yeah, but the seniors need better light. But yes, I mean, so it's a very focused effort.
Right.
You know, we have more seniors, what do we need to do? Yeah. And then as part of our Smart Nation drive, we are also trying to use technology to help care for our seniors who may be at home on their own. So things like using sensors, you know, if there's a sensor, family members who are not living there can sort of be alerted if, for instance, there's no activity for a long time. They can go check on the senior person. And yeah, so
that's a lot of things you guys doing for senior citizens.
That's a lot because there are a lot of senior citizens that we have to do these things for.
So what do you say will be the most severe effect that Singapore has to cope with right now from aging society?
Most severe effect?
Or in what area do you think that get the most severe effect from aging society?
I think it's all of those. You know, making sure the seniors continue to enjoy good health, and if they don't have good health, how to care for them, and then making sure that they have good quality lives, that they are able to be gainfully employed. So, but it's, you know, each item has
its own effect.
Yeah, has different things, like making sure they can work. What does that mean?
Right.
Lifelong learning. For instance, we have a scheme to, every citizen gets some money, forget what it's called now. There is a scheme where the government gives each of us a few $100 a year in a special account. And we can use that money to attend courses. To either to learn a new skill, to upgrade ourselves on a skill that we already have.
To encourage people
to work. And for some people who don't want to work, learning a new skill is also useful.
And fun.
It keeps your fun, yeah. It's fun and it keeps your mind active and you don't want a whole bunch of
Do you set goal how long Singapore hope to see the result of all this measure you guys have been doing?
Well, it's an ongoing process, so there is no fixed deadline. You know, it will take. I mean, and you hopefully we will come up with new ways of doing things, new policies to meet new needs, and so it's a very dynamic thing, so to speak. Yeah.
You're starting to see the change. You're starting to see the change?
Well, in some areas, yes. I mean, like employability, for instance. We have, there are more, you can see more seniors working. I am personally affected by the change. Because in our statutory retirement age is 62. And then this was several years ago already. The government encouraged people to work till 65, and then to 67. So I've been working on and on. I'm 66 now. So
wow!
I still.
I mean, you don't look 66.
Thank you.
And it keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, I mean it's great to be able to have a job that's very meaningful, keeps the brain moving.
Your mind active. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Tulip. Thank you very much.